ESPN, the Total Sports Network, presents the Professional Bowlers Association. From Golden Pin Lades in Tucson, Arizona, the $95,000 Tucson Open. Brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Roberts, welcoming you again to ESPN's coverage of the PBA. Mike Durbin is here again this year. Mike, an 8-time PBA champ and the winner this year in Milwaukee, and it's good to have you back again.
Well, Jim, it's nice to be back again, especially here in warm Tucson.
Indeed. Of course, we will have the entire summer tour as well as the fall tour and some specials on ESPN. We'll enjoy bringing all of those to you. And let's reacquaint everyone again, Mike, exactly what happens during the week. We know we'll have the stepladder finals for the 5 top bowlers this week and every week. But what happens? It's a 3 or 4 day event, and how's the eliminations take place?
Well, right, Jim. It is a 3-day event. We started on Tuesday here with 192 players. They all bowled 18 qualifying games, and then they cut the field to the top 24 for match play. Now, these aren't the only ones that cash, however, as the top 48 do make money in this tournament, but only the top 24 move on to match play. These match play bowlers bowl one another, each an individual match in which they get 30 bonus pins for winning. And the top 5 survivors are the 5 that'll be on our show tonight.
And, of course, something that's really interesting is the position round. That takes place last night, but number 1 goes against number 2, number 3 against number 4, number 5 against number 6, and so on down through the top 24. And they meet head-to-head in the final game before the stepladder finals are determined. That's always interesting. We have the 5 finalists. We're going to get to talk about those in just a moment. But first, Mike, what are the lane conditions this week? How have the scores been?
The scores have been reasonably good, Jim. It took a 214 average to make the top 24, and it took a 209 average to make the top 48 the money. The lanes are hooking a little bit this week, and most of the players, I think, will be playing on the outside part of the lane, at least right of the second arrow. Some of them are throwing a great big hook. Our tournament leader is throwing a medium or small hook. So we've got quite a variety on the show today, but no left-handers out there.
As always, we got a pretty good mix of people, some big names, some people just starting out, somebody that's never been on TV before, and it should be an interesting show, the beginning of many on ESPN, and we're glad to have you with us. We'll be back in just a moment to take a look at the stepladder finalists, the top 5 bowlers this week. Back in just a moment.
Stuck in a dead-end job?
Aren't you going too fast?
Oh, it's not the speed, really, so much. I just wish I hadn't drunk all that cough syrup this morning, you know?
Then join Bill Murray and Bravo Company in Stripes.
Oh, I knew it. She was walking next to me, singing, do, I did it, come did it, do.
And join a whole new breed of professionals. Learn what it's like to feel like a man. Get your body into incredible shape. Master important career skills.
What are you going to do with that?
This.
So if you're a man who likes to take charge of your own life,
You men completed your training on your own?
That's the fact, Jack! That's the fact, Jack!
and this looks like your kind of challenge,
Lean killer! You're a lean, mean, violent machine! I'll do it!
join Bill Murray
Not that one.
in
Not
Stripes.
this.
This could be the best experience of your life.
Surprise party!
Stripes, rated R.
Whose idea was this?
Starts Friday at a theater near you.
We're in Tucson, Arizona for our first PBA telecast of the summer. I'm Jim Roberts with Mike Durbin. And Mike, before we talk about the 5 guys that will be on today's show, we mentioned a little bit about the position round. And the 6th man that did not make the show, Bo Bowden, certainly had an outstanding shot. And the guy that's in the number 5 position, a little bit fortunate to be there.
Yes, going into the last frame, it was extremely close between 3 players, Ted Hannes and Marshall Holman and Bo Bowden. In the 10th frame, Bo Bowden left a 10-pin and missed it. He wound up shooting 236 that game. That forced Ted Hannes to throw a double of some kind to make the show, and he's only a rookie and inexperienced, and yet he just threw 2 of the prettiest shots I ever saw in my life, and he made the show. And then Marshall Holman had to get 9 spare strike in order to make the show in the 10th frame, and he threw what we call a Brooklyn strike. In other words, he crossed over on the other side of the head pin and got a strike. He went on to get a double, but he made the show really because of that Brooklyn. He was fortunate.
That starts us off with the number 5 position, Marshall Holman, a guy that did not compete in the tournament last year because he was on suspension, but he has come back with a vengeance. He's won 3 titles this year and over $100,000 already.
He sure has. This is Marshall's 9th appearance on national TV this year, and as you said, he has won 3 times and over $100,000 already. A win today would really put him in the running with Earl Anthony in that torrid race for Bowler of the Year, and I know that that's one of Marshall's main bowling goals is to win that Bowler of the Year title, so I know he's really pumped up to try and win here.
Kind of a mediocre average, really, of just 215 for him, 13-11 in the match play statistics, but the guy that comes in at the number 4 spot, statistics very much the same.
Ted Hannes, as I said, he's just a young player on the tour. He bowled 3 tournaments last year, so according to our PBA rules, he can't be classified as a rookie, but this is his first appearance on national TV of any kind. He has a very unusual style, one which he starts way to the right, and he drifts quite a bit to the left. And it's not a style that I would recommend, Jim, but he makes it work because of a lot of practice and because of his beautiful hand release and his powerful ball. If he can get by the first game today, look out for him.
He, too, is 13-11, also a 215 average, first national TV appearance for him, but we can't say that about the guy at the number 3 position, this year's PBA president, George Pappas.
Yes, George has a lot of experience. He's been on TV many, many times. As you said, he is our president this year. He has a classic style. George takes 5 steps. He's very square. He has a free swing, and he's extremely accurate. In fact, most of the pros on the tour consider George the best shot maker on the PBA Tour today. And, you know, he won here in 1977. He beat Mark Roth that time and stopped Mark's string of tournament wins. He had 3 in a row, was going for 4. He's going to be tough. He likes golden pin lanes. I think he'd be very tough to beat tonight.
And in his long career, he has had some slumps before, but I don't think he's gone ever what he is experiencing now up until this week, 3 weeks in a row without cashing.
It's happened to him twice before, where this is only the 2nd time in his PBA career. He's extremely consistent, extremely.
And how about the guy now that comes in at the number 2 position? He, of course, has to bowl just 2 games in order to win the big money.
Yes, funny man, Matt Serena. He has one of the best sense of humors on the PBA Tour, but he's been in a tremendous slump over a period of several years. This year, he's only made $4,500, and he hasn't won a tournament, Jim, in over 8 years. And that really puts a mental strain on you. However, I know what it's like. I went 7 years without winning at one stretch of my career. So it is possible to come back from that, and maybe Matt can duplicate that feat here in Tucson tonight.
I'll tell you one thing that Matt did do. He had a 1945 8-game block to finish off the tournament to make sure that he nailed down that number 2 spot. So he's red hot and a pretty good match play record for the week, really, of 16-8.
Well, Matt bowled extremely well here. I don't know really what it was that turned it around for him here, but I'm really happy to see it happen to him.
And the guy that's in the number 1 position, the king of the hill, the one that just has to wait and bowl 1 game, and he is a journeyman performer by the name of Art Trask.
Art Trask just outdistanced the field here. He led the tournament by over 220 pins. I think he averaged 224 for the entire 42 games. He has a tremendously solid game. Again, he takes 5 steps like George Pappas. He's very square. He throws a medium hook, keeps the ball in play, and he almost never beats himself. However, he's been a member for 10 years. He's never won. Jim, he's been close before. He's got 2 seconds. But tonight, I think he'll be bowling the most important game of his PBA career tonight, and he's my pick to win the Tucson 1981 Open.
We will look forward to that. You said he has never won a championship, and he will look forward to be able to take care of that tonight if that is indeed possible. And also, Mike, he has never had the number 1 position before. The step ladder will go like this. Marshall Holman in the number 5 spot versus Ted Hannes, who comes in at number 4. The winner goes against George Pappas, number 3. Matt Serena in the number 2 spot, and Art Trask, number 1. Prize money this week is $12,000, $7,000 to second, $5,404, and we'll have the opening match on Total Sports ESPN in just a moment.
This bud's for everyone who wraps it, stacks it, and sacks it. This bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through. Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. For all you do. This bud's for you.
There's the patented handshake to begin play, the opening game between Marshall Holman and Ted Hannes. Being a rookie like Hannes against Marshall Holman, can he psych you out?
Well, I was just thinking his baptism of fire right here, Jim, I'll tell you.
Marshall Holman will open. Drills it right down to the Brooklyn side. That's the shot that he got a strikeout of
Right, I was thinking
make it.
he's picking up right where he left off last night, I'll tell you.
These two guys met once previously, and Marshall Holman defeated Ted Hannes 219 to 200. That happened during the week. Marshall from Medford, Oregon.
Jim, I was watching Marshall in the practice, and he didn't look like he had a good line in the pocket. He was really all over the place.
Takes care of the 6-pin.
I think he's even debating right now to switch balls. Now we get a look at Ted now, and you get an idea what I was talking about with this very unusual style of how far left he drifts.
Ted Hannes from Zanesville, Ohio. 24 years old. Second year as a PBA member. But the first time on national TV. Brings it in, and he has the first strike of the day.
Well, these young fellas come out here anymore, and television just doesn't seem to bother them at all.
So 10 handles now will go 2 frames in a row. Marshall Holman spared at the first frame.
Ted has a chance right here to jump out ahead of Marshall, put some pressure on him, and strike here. He can take a 10-pin lead.
Ted Hannes finished 17th last week. PBA stopped with California last week.
Is that where we were? Yes, I guess.
Indeed.
Lose track.
Second frame, working on a strike, goes to the pocket, and there's a 10-pin.
Tough break. Beautiful shot. Boy, he had excellent lift on that ball. The 6-pin just flew right around that 10, never even really got close to it. Ring and 10. He'll move to the left of the approach, make the spare.
There were a lot of possibilities going into the position round last night. In fact, there were just 74 pins from 3rd through 7th, but it ended up with the same 5 in the same order. That doesn't happen that often.
No, usually there's some moving around in that position round.
Goes after the 10-pin and spares it off.
Notice how he threw harder at that 10-pin, Jim? That's a good tip for some of the players at home. Just increase your speed a little bit at some of those spares. You can make a lot more of them.
Marshall Holman, who was under suspension for most of last summer, has come back to win 3 titles, looking for his 4th. And he's been on TV 9 times this year.
Fantastic. What a great player he is.
Just missed last week in Torrance when he finished 7th. Working on a spare, 2nd fret. Puts it out. Rings it back in. That's a little more hook than he tossed out on the first one and leaves 1.
See, he did switch balls. He switched to another ball from one he used in the first frame. This one didn't appear to hook quite as soon on the lane as the ball he used in the first frame. That ball could have struck. It was light in the pocket.
Left the 6 in the opening frame and the 4 here. So a spare, and it'll just be a 1-pin difference, and Marshall Holman goes after it. I had a chance to visit with Marshall Holman and ask him what will it take for him to make Bowler of the Year.
I think in order to be Bowler of the Year this year, I need victories. Earl has 4, I have 3. It's imperative that I do win at least once or twice more and catch Earl in the money.
He is in 2nd place, both of them over $100,000 all the season. And Mark Roth, well up there too, but not in the 6 figures as yet. Marshall was 7th last week at Torrance.
Watch how his heels hang over the approach. He uses all of that approach.
Caught in the 3rd frame, brings it in, and there's a solid strike in the pocket for Marshall Holman.
I'll tell you, Jim, if Marshall does get something going today, he's a treat to watch. He is such a competitor. I've hardly ever seen anyone as fierce as he is on the lanes. It's his element. It really is. He's just ready to bring them on, you know.
Ted Hannes qualified 4th, dropped to 5th after the first match play block, up to 2nd, and then got pretty solidified at the number 2 position. And that's where he is, where he was, until he dropped down to 4th in the last couple games.
Nice shot.
In the pocket and a strike, so the match is still just about even. I asked Ted Hannes, this is his first time on national TV. Will it affect his game or his concentration?
Being on national TV is no big thing to me. I've been on TV before, so I'm going to look at it at the same type effect in my mind as I did then, and just go out here and bowl and do the best that I can. No one expects a whole lot out of me since I'm unknown, and I'm just going to go out here and try the hardest I can.
So far, he's thrown 3 excellent shots. He could be off of the turkey. Instead, it's strike, spare, strike.
Up on the left side in the 4th frame, he drills it in. It heads right to the pocket, and there's 2 in a row for Ted Hannes. So Hannes with a 40 in the 2nd frame on a double. Marshall Holman is up in the 4th, and we'll be back with more bowling for the Tucson Open in just a minute.
ESPN is your source for sports Wednesday. Sports Talk, ESPN's new live innovative viewer call-in show, keeps you involved in the world of sports. Auto Racing 81 takes no pit stops as coverage continues with IMSA racing excitement from Lime Rock, Connecticut. And Sports Center gives you the latest scores, standings, and highlights with the most comprehensive sports news program on television. All sports, 24 hours a day on ESPN. You're on the right track for exciting Auto Racing 81 Wednesdays on ESPN. Join Bob Jenkins and Larry Newbert for USAC Sprint and Midget competition, as well as NASCAR, IMSA, and dirt races. Auto Racing 81 is bigger and better than ever, and it's right here each Wednesday on ESPN.
ESPN is your ticket to Total Sports. Wednesday, Auto Racing 81 keeps a fast pace with IMSA competition from Lime Rock, Connecticut.
Some of the other top finishers this week were Bo Bowden, our Miami champion, a local Paul Gibson, Alan Granite from Colorado, Hall of Famer Wayne Zahn finished 9th, the great Nelson Burton Jr. 10th, and his brother Neil, the 1980 Masters champion, finished 11th. Improving Al Stoneham, steady J.V. Blaylock, Charlie Tapp, Bruce Carter, stylist David Ozio, Jeff Ballinger, Jeff Valentine, Mark Williams, our runner-up in Portland, Jim Winklepleck, another local Tom Kohler, Mike Miller, Mike Kelly, and Jim Kuntz finished 24th. Cameraman moved out there, and it bothered Marshall. He moved the camera just as he started, and it caught Marshall's eye.
We have mentioned, of course, in our other telecasts, if anything that bothers them, they'll immediately stop, and that is the thing to do, regardless of what the distraction is.
Well, Marshall showed his experience there. A less experienced player might have gone through with a shot, had his concentration distracted, and made a bad shot. Marshall needs a strike to cut the lead from 11 down to 1.
Marshall Holman, fourth frame, puts it in the pocket, and he's got 2 strikes as well.
Beautiful shot.
So Marshall Holman has a 39 in the second, working on strikes in the third and the fourth, and Ted Hannes, a 40 in the second, also strikes in the third and fourth. The only difference in the match was Ted Hannes' strike in frame 1.
Marshall putting that rosin over the thumb hole and then wiping it off with a towel.
Again, let's mention we talked about Bo Bowden in the number 6 spot. All he had to do was mark in the 10th frame, and it would be he instead of this guy.
That's right.
He did not do it, left the 10 pin, and then threw it by the second time. That's on the nose, and he leaves 36.
Marshall got just a little soft with that shot. The ball hooked too soon, headed for the nose. He's fortunate didn't leave a split, only the 3-6. Now, Jim, watch how he shoots this spare. He'll move to the left, and he'll really throw hard at this spare. He wants to avoid a chop, so he'll really fire it. See how hard he threw at that? Both ends of the ball, perfect.
Marshall Holman goes spare, spare, strike, strike, spare. No opens as yet. And we go to Ted Hannes now in the bottom of the 5th. Hannes finished 17th last week in Torrance. The 206 in the position round, 4 strikes in a row to finish the last game. He, too, had to scramble in order to make TV.
Ted's up by 3 pins and can take a 13-pin lead with another strike here.
This time, somebody in the crowd spoke, and he has to be patient. People a little jittery because it's hot here.
It is warm. It can have an effect on how they release the bowling ball, too. They could lose it by their hands sweating too much. Notice that tremendous drift left.
That's going to cross over. Look at that! 10 pin stays up there. Almost got kicked out by the 6 after the 6 pin went on the crossover.
We got to look at this weird approach. Now watch how the right foot comes over. His left foot will come back in front of his right. The left foot over again and then the slide. He must drift at least 12 boards left.
Going after the spare. Giving the 2-pin advantage going into the 6th frame.
See, Jim, the disadvantage of a style like that is it's hard to be consistent. It's hard to repeat it, to do it the same way time after time after time. Now, Ted's probably grown up doing it that way, so it's somewhat natural to him, but it's certainly not something we would teach.
His high game of the week, 279. Ironically, none of the top 5 bowled over 280 in any one single game this week. There were 3 300 games, 1 in the Pro-Am, 2 during the regular tournament.
Ted is up 2 pins. We got a close, tight match here.
Sixth frame, so we start the second half of the opening match. He swirls it in, and there's a solid 10. That is the third time that he has not struck in this match, and all 3 times it has been the 10 pin.
But the difference, 2 of them have been in the pocket. The other one, he avoided a split.
This is true. So that closes the gap just a little bit more. And again, he has to put the concentration back out, pick up the spare in the 6th frame.
Cuts it down to 1 pin. Soon he will convert the spare. He does. Marshall checking the rack. It's another little tip that a lot of the pro bowlers are very conscious of that rack. They can spot it if a pin is just a little bit off spot.
By the way, one thing that we're going to have part of some of our shows this year is you will be giving some tips on one thing or another. Today we're going to take a look at bowling balls themselves. There's bowling ball right there. And Marshall drying his hands, going to both the rosin and the air.
Watch how hard Marshall lifts this ball to the air. Really snaps it with his fingers. Ooh! What happened there was the ball went a little too far down the lane, broke late, and leaves the 2-8-10. It's a very common leave on the PBA Tour. When the ball snaps real hard at the back end like that, it leaves the double wood with the 10 pin like that.
How is this pin?
It's almost impossible to make, although I have seen Marshall make this by shooting it left-handed. He's not going to do that.
He'll go after the count and pick up 2 pins, and he does not get it. He drove it pretty hard down through, but glanced off a little bit to the left side. So he is open in the 6th frame. First time that that's happened. He sits on a 112 through 6. Ted Hanna's a 108 spare. And now Marshall's got to come right back out there again. He was a qualifying leader first after the first match play block, down to 5th, and then, as we told you, had to really scramble to be here.
Yeah, he had trouble on Friday, or on Thursday, rather. The last day of the match play. Soft that shot. That shot was caused from the one before, Jim. The one before, he snapped it and went too far. He tried to make a slight adjustment in speed, and it hooked too soon.
Marshall Holman now, although the match is still relatively early, just a little bit past halfway, is in a little bit of trouble there, and he picks up the spare in the 7th frame. Ted Hanna sitting on easy street for the moment with 3 strikes and 3 spares. Let's take a look at Marshall Holman.
Watch the wrist and the fingers snap through this ball at the end. As he comes through, he's in that trigger position. He snaps so hard, he just grits his teeth and lifts it with everything he's got.
And Ted Hanna is coming up next in the 7th frame after Marshall Holman is open. He has not struck since the 4th, and we'll be back to the Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson in just a minute.
3-zip, Denny. Looks like we're going to win the Michelob Light.
Now you've gone too far.
Would a bunch of guys really go at it this hard just for a beer? Well, consider it's Michelob Light, and that means a rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
How many goals do you think we gave those guys?
Hey, just one, Mike, the Michelob Light.
Michelob Light. Compare the taste.
Friday, the 26th of June at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific, we'll have a special Friday edition of Top Rank Boxing. It will also come from out west, from Las Vegas. The main event, a heavyweight match between Jeff Shelberg of Salt Lake City and Leroy Caldwell of Las Vegas. We'll also have an interesting super bantamweight match, junior lightweight and junior middleweight, as Top Rank Boxing goes to Friday, June 26th at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, live on Total Sports ESPN. Back to action, and coming up is Ted Hannas from Zanesville, Ohio.
I'm really impressed with his poise, just how cool and calm he seems under this pressure.
Good position. position. If he gets a couple of strikes up early now, he crosses over. This time he leaves the 10 again, and also the 6 pin with it. And we have seen that a number of times.
He did what we call laying that ball short. He did not get it out to the target that he wanted to. It was short of that target. When that happens, the ball hooks soon. He was fortunate he didn't get a split.
So with the spare in the 7th now, he will have a 14-pin advantage over Marshall Holman with 3 big frames to go.
It's awful hot here, and that could be a definite factor why he wasn't able to get that ball out to target.
So Ted Hannes has a 126 in the 6th on a spare in the 7th, and Marshall Holman a 112 in the 6th, also a spare in the 7th. So a difference of 14 pins, 126 spare and 112 spare. Ted Hannes, who has never bowled Tucson Open, says his concentration this week just excellent.
They tell me that it's still well over 100 outside, Jim, so I don't know what it is under these lights. It might be 120.
Good shot. So that puts the pressure on Marshall Holman, who has got a strike now in the 8th just to keep it at 14. And then he comes to the foundation frame in the 9th frame.
Well, we'll see if the experience of Marshall Holman pays off in these last 3 frames.
Got a 228 in the position round, doubled in the 10th. So makes the show after Bowden missed. He brings it out and back in.
Oh, what a break.
At that.
Jimmy basically hit there the same place he did 2 frames ago in the 6th frame, only this time he got the 2 and the 8 to kick out. The ball and the 10 went down also. That could have been another 2-8-10.
You see the grin on Marshall Holman. Let's take a look at that shot again.
Now watch the delivery. Watch us snap that wrist at the end. He lifts it hard and the ball goes a long way. Watch how far before it starts to break. Still hasn't. Now it's starting to break. Comes in light. The 2 and the 8 and the 10 were up there. I think it was the headpin that got the 2 and the 8 both.
26-year-old performer with just worlds and worlds of talent.
Let's see if he takes advantage of that break. He
9th
swung it out wide.
frame, brings it in. Good hook, and Marshall Holman has struck in the 9th frame, and now the pressure is on Ted Hannes.
See, that's why one of the reasons why he's so great. You get a break like that, you must take advantage of it, Jim. You have to.
So now Ted Hannes from Zanesville, Ohio, 13-11 match play record.
His fate is in his own hands. He can lock out Marshall Holman with 3 straight strikes.
This guy lost 6 of his last 9 matches, but held on to 4 after commanding second. 9th frame.
Short again.
Crosses over, and he gets a Brooklyn and a big one in the 9th frame to keep pace with Marshall Holman.
Not only keep pace, but winning 14 pins ahead.
Indeed, if he did not strike there, it would have cut it down to 4.
The situation is this. Well, we'll watch his shot first. Now, he's aiming about the 7th board, and it hits 10 or 11. You see how soon it hooks? Well, if you're going to make a mistake, make it big enough to get over there and get that Brooklyn.
That's right.
Right now, he's rolling at a 216 clip. And Marshall Holman's best potential is a 222. So I didn't see what he was doing there. Evidently, he was... See, the moisture can be getting in the ball now. He's probably holding the ball over the dryer to just dry out that hole.
You can see the perspiration on his forehead as he lets this one go. Puts English, and there's the 10 pin down.
Big shot there. He now needs 7 pins and a spare to lock out Marshall Holman.
And if he goes all the way out, 236.
Right now, he's just thinking of that win. Right now, what he wants to do is simply hit the pocket. If he hits the pocket, he figures he'll get 9. Marshall, a little disgusted. He's lost some matches on TV with guys getting Brooklyns on him, and it's entirely possible he might lose another one.
Ted Hannes let Marshall Holman start and finish, so now he's in the commanding position to put it away. Second ball, 10th frame. Looking for 4 in a row. He's got it enough.
He's a winner.
A guy that started with a strike that after spurring in the second back with 2 more strikes, 3 spares, and now 4 strikes in a row, and the kid has come through and has won the opening match.
Well, you know, Marshall took advantage of the break he got, and Ted certainly did too. He got the Brooklyn in the 9th frame and just capitalized in it in the 10th. That's the mark of a champion.
Goes out in style with a 236. Marshall Holman is up quickly. And he leaves the 9 pin out. He'll just toss another one out to finish it up. Ted Hannes, 236.
Well, it's a nice start for your first time on TV.
Indeed. So we're going to come back with George Pappas as Marshall tosses it into the gutter to finish the match. Back in just a moment.